It's the Great Canadian Podcast with Dave and Charlotte.
Podcast.
I peaked.
Oh, God, I peaked too.
Damn.
We are having technical difficulties right out of the gate today.
We were so excited to start, though. That's why.
To start, and it's our first cross-country podcast today.
Yeah. You should see my crazy setup here with the two stools stacked on top of each other to get the mic up to the level of my mouth.
Oh, my gosh.
My coffee table pulled around at an angle. It actually looks a little bit official. I've got my M tracks over there on the coffee table.
Did you call it your M tracks as in plural?
Damn it, what is it?
Nice. It's M track, but M tracks is better. That's like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's when people who pretend they don't like the internet call it the interwebs. You know?
Right, yeah. Yeah.
But yours is legit, Charlotte.
Can I just throw it out there? I have a cold. Sorry, this is me laughing at Erin. So I've got a few things to say. Number one, I have a cold. So yes, you can hear me sniffling. I may start coughing. I'm not dying. Erin's here to watch me if I start to die.
That's mighty big of you, Erin, I have to say.
Yeah. Thing number two, Erin is here. She is in my living room. She is our first official guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
So she's just going to listen, possibly giggle at our hilarity, and she's going to join us in the third segment of this podcast. And third thing, this is what I was laughing at. We have a new video for today, and we actually discovered a gold mine of internet videos. We were worried last week that we wouldn't be able to find anything after Fireplace and Aquarium.
This is true. I'm still worried about what we're going to use for censor noises this week, but we'll think of something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I hope you all appreciated that Dave got the aquarium noises in the background of the podcast last week.
And I hope it didn't send you running to the bathroom every 5 minutes.
Yeah. So this week, it's called, what's it? Oh, Giant Sea Turtles from the Coral Reef. It's a 3-hour video.
And this is real. Like, this isn't CG or anything.
Real. We are confident. And you know it's real because just now when I burst out laughing, there were 2 sea turtles sort of holding hands. One was upside down and it looked like something bad was going on. And I looked over at Erin and she was doing the finger in the A-OK symbol.
Come on.
So early on in this video, people, there's some sea turtles that look like they might be doing it.
Oh, right. You know what I want to know now? Because there's a lot of animals out there who mate for life, right? Like, don't penguins mate for life? And
Erin's nodding.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Totally. So, okay, we got to put this on the list for next week. We got to find out if giant sea turtles mate for life.
I kind of hope they don't.
Why?
I don't know. I just like the idea of some like randy sea turtles swimming around the ocean looking for hookups.
Yeah, but Charlotte, if this sways you at all, I know tortoises are supposed to be able to live for really longer than humans if they're if the circumstances are right. I don't know if sea turtles live that long. I would assume they don't just because they live in the ocean.
But what did Finding Nemo teach us? I feel like Finding Nemo taught us the answer to this. Because isn't there a really old sea turtle in Finding Nemo? What, did you just say you've never seen it? Never seen it. Erin just said she's never... All right, already I feel like we have to get Erin over here. Dave, can we bring Erin on for a second here?
Yeah, we can.
Erin, you've never seen Finding Nemo?
I've never seen Finding Nemo. Now, I hear that there's a second Finding Nemo. I think it might be called Finding Dory or something along those lines.
Was Dory the dopey friend fish?
Yeah, she's Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, nice.
Which you wouldn't know, Erin, because you don't know Finding Nemo.
The reason I do know, though, is because I watch Ellen. So this is how I know about the second Dory movie. But I have never watched Finding Nemo, which I'm a little embarrassed about.
Yeah, explain yourself. How did this happen?
I don't know that I have an excuse. I actually, now that I think of it, I don't really think I've seen too many cartoon movies over the past few years. And I was a big Disney kid.
Okay, I was about to ask.
I was a bit like Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King.
Yeah.
Lion King still brings me to tears.
Yes, same season.
Beauty and the Beast, I wanted to be Belle growing up.
Definitely,
Absolutely.
hands down, best Disney princess, I think. Belle,
Absolutely.
Right?
And the library in her home.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a dream.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the Disney movies...
You just stopped.
They've dropped off my radar a little bit.
I will tell you, and I don't know, is Finding Nemo, it's Pixar, I think. So that's Disney, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't think so.
Because who's that other company that makes animated movies? Maybe it's Pixar. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
DreamWorks? But no, DreamWorks...
Yeah, DreamWorks.
Are they different from Pixar, or are they like... Or do they do
God
like the
knows.
animation for Pixar or something?
We'll look that up for next week too, folks.
We got so much to look up. Giant sea turtles, whether they mate for life and how long they live. Oh, next week's going to be such an interesting podcast. I feel bad for you guys this week. You got to listen to this one.
No, we've got it teed up this week. Trust me.
I will say, by the way, just as a quick thing, in Erin's defense, Finding Nemo was past like our childhood cartoon era.
Sure.
And it belongs in what I would consider like the Shrek category, the Monsters Inc. Those
Have
movies.
you seen Shrek?
I've seen the first Shrek. I believe there's
too
multiple
many Shreks.
Shreks.
No, that's fine. You'll
I think
I've
there's
seen
like
the
10
first
of them.
one.
Monsters Inc. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen Monsters Inc.
Oh, that's such a good one.
Monsters
I
Inc. is a
know.
good
Have
one.
you seen Tangled?
No.
Have you seen How to Train Your Dragon?
No. I feel like Charlotte is no longer going to be my friend. But Dave, I appreciate you trying to back me up with that whole age era dynamic.
I see where you're coming from, Erin. And without outing anybody here, are you roughly Charlotte's age?
I am, yes.
All right, well, there you go.
Can we, okay. How to Train Your Dragon. I'm going to say a very bold statement here.
Oh.
How to Train Your Dragon, to me, is on par, and granted there's no singing, on par with The Lion King.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
There's no
Honestly.
singing in How to Train Your Dragon? Get out of here.
No.
Huh.
No. Well, they don't do music. That's actually a beautiful score. Beautiful score. I listen to it when I'm at work sometimes. But no, they don't like sing. It's not like The Lion King. And honestly, Tangled, I would say, is right up there too.
I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like my memories of those old Disney movies that I loved, like I mentioned Little Mermaid in particular, the singing, the songs, I still will belt those songs out like my life depends upon it. And, you had me wrapped into maybe watch it by saying it was on par with Lion King. But if there's no singing, I don't see how you could be right.
But, okay, you know what? Well, I shouldn't have said they were on par because now I feel like I've hyped it. I've overhyped. But I should have just underhyped. I always overhype. But when I downloaded How to Train Your Dragon, and I think Tangled, both of them on like Rogers On Demand or whatever it was, so you had to pay $6.99, but you got them for like 48 hours.
Okay.
I think I watched Tangled 3 times in those 48, or maybe it was How to Train. I watched them both multiple times in the 48 hours. For one time, I got a birthday present to see the live How to Train Your Dragon show in London at the JLC. That's how much I love How to Train Your Dragon.
There's
Whoa,
a
you
live
did that?
show?
That's a thing that you did?
Yes, and yes.
How was it?
It was amazing. The only thing was there was one robot that wasn't working, so the dragons couldn't fly, which was a bit of a bummer, obviously.
That's brutal.
Because I don't even know how they could have flown. Like, I don't believe it.
Magic?
Maybe they go around every day and they always say, oh, our machine's broken and they gave us tickets to come back the next day, but I think they know that no one's going to come back, and so it's just not a real thing. They can't actually fly.
How could one robot have been like in
know.
control of all the flight of all the dragons?
Well, one flying robot dragon.
But didn't you say that because this one robot was broken, none of the dragons could fly?
No, well, I don't know how many dragons were supposed to fly, because there were a bunch of dragons that kind of wheeled around on the ground. They could, like, move up and down off the ground,
I see.
but not, like, fly through the air, which I don't understand the physics of that. Oh, you just heard podcast, Kitty. Here's Izzy.
Speaking
You
of
know
Kitty,
you're rocking Edmonton when Izzy's on the podcast.
I feel like How to Train Your Dragon is like wish fulfillment for cat owners, because the dragons tend to be portrayed, their temperaments are kind of similar, I think.
Very cat-like. You've seen How to Train Your Dragon, Dave.
Yeah, no, I have, yeah. I think I watched it
And
with
you
you.
love it.
Probably. It was a good movie. Yeah, I liked it. It was cool.
It's great.
Okay, well, maybe
I wanted that, what's the dragon, the cute one that, the black one?
I don't know why I can't think of what he calls them. Oh my god. This is going to show that I'm not actually a true fan.
I wanted
Is
that
Hiccup's
dragon.
the guy? And it's something about, Toothless. He calls him Toothless.
They called him Toothless?
No, he calls his dragon Toothless.
The black dragon, like the main dragon, his name is Toothless?
Yeah, that's Hiccup's name for him.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I have to watch it
But he's
again.
a night fury. That's the name. That's the kind of dragon he is. He's a night
Right.
fury.
Okay. I probably would have remembered that. That's much more badass.
Yeah. Okay. So
Maybe we should hit the list.
yeah, I think let's all acknowledge that Erin needs to up her watching of current.
I commit
animated.
to watching How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes.
As long as you watch it with me.
Okay, and Tangled.
Aaron, I
Well-
think you're fine just the way you are.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
I honestly want to argue that she's not fine the way she's wonderful, but no. And Tangled, I guarantee you, I wouldn't even guarantee you're gonna like How to Train Your Dragon. I guarantee you that you will love Tangled.
Can we have a movie night with snacks and
Wine.
maybe an adult beverage?
Yes, or two.
Okay, then I'm in.
Erin and I are have a bit of a tendency to have wine nights involving a bottle of wine and then to forget how many bottles we've opened over the course of the night and wake up the next morning why we're hungover.
Well, what else are you going to do in Edmonton? Ooh!
Whoa, Edmonton burn.
Oh.
So on that note, I'm back in Edmonton, folks. I made it. I'm safe. I left Ontario. It was, I think, +1 the day that I left in Ontario. And it had been freezing rain the day before. I landed in Edmonton. It was -26.
Holy.
Yeah. It was cold.
We got
But it was honestly a beautiful sunny day. Erin picked me up from the airport and I said, "Oh my gosh, I missed the sun. There was not a cloud in the sky." And she went, "You know what? It was cloudy the whole time you were gone." I said, "It's because Edmonton missed me."
Aaron, why would you tell Charlotte something like that?
Well, I was so happy to have my friend back. And honestly, it's truth. She was gone for, I think, probably close to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And the entire time that she was gone, there was barely any sun. My parents came out for Christmas, and I can attest to the fact that the entire time they were here, they complained that there was no classic Edmonton blue sky.
Right,
and then
right.
the day that Charlotte returned, poof,
Poof.
all the clouds were gone.
Not a cloud in the sky.
That really lends more credence to Charlotte's claims to be able to control the weather than I'd like.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's foreshadowing to something we have on our list for later in the podcast, why we needed Erin to come in here to prove. I mean, Erin's just really here to pump my tires. She's going to prove how amazing I am. Time and time again.
I'm bringing a friend on next week.
Yeah.
Dean, if you're listening, you're coming on the podcast.
Dean will also talk about how great I am. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's probably true.
Can I talk a little bit about what I think about people in airports?
I'd love it if you did, Charlotte.
I'm really going to try hard not to peek as I do this.
Oh, here it comes.
Because I get so crazy at the stupidity of humanity. I feel like people get into airports and turn into the biggest morons in the world. It's like you check your bag at the front gate and you check your brain like you're gone. So first of all, and I understand the security line is stressful. You're there for a short amount of time. There's not that much time that you're, adjacent to those buckets that you have to put your stuff in.
Right.
So it happens very quickly. They have to take off your coat, take off your boots, and do all that jazz.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm sympathetic there. Sometimes people are annoying, but whatever. I'm sympathetic. And honestly, the thing that really annoys me is when there was a man wearing this giant metal belt buckle. And the guy was like, "Sir, you have to take off your belt." And he was like, "What? I have to take this?" Yeah, what the hell do you think? That's a metal detector, and you're wearing a giant metal belt bucket. Yes, you have to take that off. Anyway, so whatever. I can make it through with minimal, minimal stress through that part of the day.
Okay, yeah. I really hope you're going
Then-
with this where I think you're going with this. That would make me very happy.
So then we're all waiting at our gate, and the lady says, "Okay, now we're going to start pre-boarding. So people with pets, people with kids or strollers, people that need special assistance."
Oh, you are.
And usually at this part, usually only those people get up. Maybe 1 or 2 people will start sidling over. Okay. I'm watching you, buddy. Don't just take it
This is
easy.
amazing.
Okay. So then they get those people on. And then they go, and now we'll start with Zone 1, which is always the plus seats on WestJet, who I've been flying with.
Right.
So how many plus seats are there on a plane? Like 12
Wait,
max,
did you
I
say
think?
plus seats?
Yeah, plus. So you pay extra, you get free food, free booze. I used to fly in them all the time until I started being money conscious.
Oh.
They're sweet, and you get to board first. You sit at the front of the plane. They're honestly dope if you can. And they're not that. I mean, they're like probably $50. They're sweet,
Oh,
though.
cool. Yeah, those are like the business class ones.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
used to fly business class all the time, Charlotte?
Well, because you can
kidding
upgrade.
me?
When you check in, you can upgrade.
Well, apparently, yeah, I guess. Fancy pants
Well, and
like you would
sometimes
know
I'd be
something
like,
that.
I've got so much work to do, I need the extra space. Because you've got extra leg room,
That sounds
too.
like something that someone would say who's in business class.
And then I found out one day that you get free unlimited booze and was like, well, now I'm not working anymore.
Yeah.
I actually got kind of wrecked on the plane when I came back here one time.
I've
So
never
anyway,
been drunk on a plane before, actually. True story.
that's a great Dirk Bentley song. So they call up Zone 1, these people in the business class. Inevitably, at least 20 people will get up at this point and start standing around the gate.
They just stand
These
there.
people are
Yeah.
there. It is not their zone. There was no reason for them to be up by that gate, but they get up anyway. Why? I don't know. Maybe so they can be the first ones to get called in their zone. And then as the zones go on, Zone 2, Zone 3, now everyone's up. Literally everyone's up. It doesn't matter. There's 6 zones. There's no one left in their seats. You cannot there's people in Zone 6, guys. I'm not the only one. But these people are all up standing around. And I will tell you why this drives me crazy. Because they form a line. They form like this mass, but also kind of a line. And you stand in the back of the line. So let's say you're Zone 4, and you think that you're in the line for Zone 4, and you think you're getting on the plane. And then all of a sudden you notice the person in front of you is not moving forward. And they're not moving forward, and they're not moving. It's because they're Zone 5. They haven't been called yet. So they are creating a false line, and now you're waiting behind them like some idiot when you could have been boarding the plane, and now they're calling Zone 5, and you didn't even get to go on in your zone. And now you have to wait in that huge line of people who stand in the middle of the aisle while they try to put their friggin' carry-on in the overhead bin, which is not rocket science, people. Put your luggage in the overhead bin and sit your down. I hate it. I hate it more than anything when everyone gets up and gathers around the gate. Sit in your damn seat until your zone is called, people. Haven't you been to kindergarten?
Charlotte, I'm going to go online and I'm going to find a sample of a mic hitting the floor. And I'm going to insert that after the rant that you just delivered. That's going to become your new trademark.
Excellent.
But like I said, I said, I hope you're going where I think you're going. That was exactly where I thought where I was hoping you would go. Cause yeah, that's insanity. Like, I had the exact same thing. It's pointless. It's stupid. My experience was, I'll give it to you real quick. It was like I was boarding a plane in Toronto, and they were doing it by zones, obviously, and I was in Zone 1. I think it was because I was at the back of the plane, but I mean, whenever.
Yeah.
Not all of us flying business class.
Because there's a rhyme to there's a reason that they do this, because they want to go in the order of the seats so that they do research. I've read research studies that they've conducted to determine the fastest order to board a plane. Like, this is the reason they're doing it in zones, guys. Like, they're not just pulling it out of their ass. There's a reason. Anyway, sorry, Dave, carry on.
There's a reason. So anyways, it struck me that I was like, this was just insane when there was this big mass formed around the gate, and I was in Zone 1. I'm like, geez, there must be a lot of people in Zone 1. I thought very naively. And then I was trying to get by people, and I actually tapped a couple of people. I'm like, excuse me, are you getting on? They were like, no.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
As if it was the most natural thing in the world for them to just be clogging up the works waiting for their zone to call. When there's perfectly good seats everywhere. Why would you want to stand when you could sit?
Honestly.
Didn't Ben Franklin say that? Why stand when you could sit? I think that was Ben Franklin.
Sorry about that cough. I tried to do it off mic, but it didn't work. Yeah. The best thing I ever had was when I was boarding a plane with a friend, and we were all being blocked, and they said, like, how are all these people in the same zone? And I go, they're not. They're idiots who don't know how to listen to instructions. And the person right in front of me turned around and started laughing, and the person in front of them turned around embarrassed and moved out of our way.
Oh, Charlotte.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Why don't you go take your head out of your ass and get out of my way, because this is my zone.
Wow.
We're going to have to bleep a lot of on that little rant.
There's another mic drop. Did you guys hear that? You will.
So that was my trip back to Edmonton. And then we got stuck on the runway because the bridge, listen to this little Edmonton tidbit, the bridge that they like attach to the airplane to let you get off the plane, the pilot comes on and he goes, so we're going to be a little bit delayed here because the bridge doesn't work in -30 weather. And we have to wait for them to fix the bridge. So we were literally, how long were we on the tarmac? Poor Erin was waiting for me.
I would say that you were there for at least an hour.
Like, oh my God.
Oh, really? You were on the tarmac in the plane before you got off for an hour?
Yeah, and people were not happy. My only saving grace was that the Colts were playing. The Indianapolis Colts were playing, and they have TVs in airplanes now, which I love, that they have like cable or whatever you would call it, like TV. And so I was just watching the Colts win at the time, which was fantastic.
Beauty. You're a Colts fan?
Yeah.
Cool.
I got an Andrew Luck jersey for Christmas.
Really?
And he's their quarterback, if you don't know that.
I didn't know that.
And they won their first game of the playoffs, so they're going to play again this weekend.
Charlotte, I'm happy for you and for the Colts.
Right? And Dave, you're back from your tour.
I'm back from my tour in the States.
How was it?
It was amazing.
Tell us.
Oh, it was so cool. It was, there was a lot of, it was just a really high energy trip because it was our first 2 shows. We did 2 on New Year's Eve in Manasquan, New Jersey. I was guessing that it was pronounced Manasquan. I was wrong. But it was amazing.
I like your way better.
Yeah, it seems a little more, I don't know. What do I know? So anyways, Manasquan, New Jersey. We played 2 shows. The stage crew was amazing. So these are the guys that are doing like your sound on stage and that are working the lights. And let me tell you, we had one gig. We had one sound guy who was very stoic and just unsmiling. And I got like he really bummed me out. Like I won't say it ruined my night, but these people like enjoying themselves and joking around with you and basically kind of lubricating the proceedings. That's a big factor in shows. I just just a small kind of show rain, you know what I mean? Like it's good that they are good at their job and your sound on stage is good and whatever, but like you really got to be good at dealing with people too, because we're musicians and we're sensitive and we like to laugh and smile and have a good time, and we're like, really far away from home, and we're probably not eating too well, and we're cold, you know what I mean? We've been in a van since like 6 a.m. So I just want to say, Manasquan, New Jersey, if anyone there is listening, who worked at the, what was it called? The Algonquin Arts Theater. That was it. You guys are amazing, and we had an awesome time there.
Nice.
So, we did that, and then we played a gig at a casino in Connecticut, which was amazing. We were spoiled rotten.
Lovely.
We got invited up to the High Rollers Lounge after the show.
Shut the front door.
You can't even get there on the regular elevator. We went there on the business class elevator, Charlotte. So you probably would have been taken right there.
Yeah.
It was super cool. We went up and we hung out with the quote-unquote high rollers. I had a scotch because I figured that's the place where you order a scotch.
No, you did not have a scotch. Whoa.
I did.
Was it smoky?
The first one I had was pretty, like, I don't really drink scotch or like straight booze all that often. So the first one I had was pretty acceptable by my palate, and then one of the guys in the band was like, "You should try this scotch," and I choked on my first sip. I was like, "It's really good." Yeah. My face was burning, and it was pretty hilarious actually. Then I sipped that one. But
I don't think I think I've smelled scotch once, and I thought this smells disgusting. I don't think I've ever actually tried it. I can't imagine it's good.
I feel like for me anyways, the appeal behind drinking straight booze, like I've always been of the opinion it tastes gross, why would you drink it,
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like sometimes you're in the mood for a little bit of alcohol, but you don't want to drink a beer because you don't want to be like, I don't know, like belching or whatever, right? And you don't want like a rum and Coke because maybe you don't want a bunch of sugar. You don't want a glass of wine. What's your options? You know what I mean? You could go vodka water, which I know we developed a new appreciation for over the holidays.
Yes.
Or you can go for scotch, and I'm kind of getting onto it a little bit,
And I will say that, I mean, the first time I tried coffee, gross. The first time I tried beer, gross.
Yeah,
These are all things that you grow into, and now, the smell of coffee just gets me so excited. I can't even stand it.
Absolutely. I do, okay, so Do either of you? Charlotte, I know you do. Erin, do you watch The Office?
I have watched it off and on. I've never been a die-hard fan, however.
It's a good watch if you ever want to go through the seasons. But just there's a hilarious episode where Steve Carell's character says that he likes to wake up to the smell of bacon. So he keeps a George Foreman grill at the foot of his bed. And I think in that episode he like burned his foot on it or something like that.
Yeah, he steps on it when he gets out of bed.
That's right, yeah. So I kind of pull a Steve Carell every day. Like the first thing I do when I wake up is I go downstairs, I'm all sleepy and whatever, and I put on the coffee. Then I go back upstairs, make the bed, put on my clothes, whatever. And then when I come back downstairs and I'm feeling a little fresh, whole house is full of the smell of coffee. Oh, yeah.
Right?
Good morning, David.
It's nice. Good morning, Dave.
And so, yeah, the rest of the tour was awesome and had a really good time hanging out with the band. We saw some really cool towns, met some cool people. It was awesome.
And how were the groupies?
Charlotte. Did I already say what kind of band this is?
So
I did.
I still feel like when I was re-listening to because you don't think we're self-centered. We have to listen to the podcast again because we have to like make a note of where all the swear words are so we can bleep them out later on.
Right.
But when I was re-listening, I didn't think that was a ridiculous comment that you would have groupies. Even you can have groupies that are 50. That's a thing.
Okay, but
They're still groupies, Dave. They're still people.
I would opine that the word groupie suggests like like a certain level of interest from the one who's being groupied, if you will.
Yeah. Have
You
you
know?
never heard of the word cougar?
Charlotte, 50? That's getting out of cougar territory.
I might have to interject here.
Please do.
And perhaps you guys might have some insights on this. Have you heard about the new, there's a new song that's Kanye and Paul McCartney?
Oh,
No.
Erin, I
How do we
think
not-
I know where you're going.
Okay, so I feel, Dave, like you might suddenly be getting some new groupies that
Right.
are of the correct age range.
Oh, this
Because what I've seen on Twitter and in the media a lot is people are tweeting that, this Kanye West god is giving, this unknown Paul McCartney his big break. And it seems that most people using Twitter aren't of the age where they know who Paul McCartney is.
Yeah.
They think he's a nobody. But because of Kanye, he's getting his big break. So you might get some younger groupies out there these coming weeks and
Wow.
months.
That makes me so sad.
That's
How
not a-
do people not know who Paul McCartney is?
That's a great point, Erin, and here's hoping. Charlotte, continue. That's hilarious. No, yeah, so this is the thing, Charles. So yeah, Erin just said it like, yeah, basically no one, like a bunch of people on Twitter who are Kanye fans don't know who Paul is, and they think Kanye's giving Paul his big break.
For land's sakes.
We
brutal.
were at a steakhouse. This was on the last night of the tour before we headed home, and our waitress said, I forget, we told her we were a band or something. She was like, "Oh, what kind of band?" And we were like, "Oh, we play the music of Paul McCartney." And she very politely said, "Oh." And then I asked her, I was like, "Do you like the Beatles?" And she said, "Well, I'm 18, so I don't know what that had to do with anything." She's like, "So I don't really like listen to them." And I just thought that was a pretty big non-answer, you know?
Yeah, really.
Does that mean you're too young to know like some of the best music? Like, anyways, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like she thinks that being 18 precludes listening to music that was made before she was born. That
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Anyway,
You know what? Kids these days. Am I right?
that's what we should have called this podcast: is kids
Yeah.
these days.
Kids these days.
So,
Oh, sorry.
did we win the gold? Did the World Juniors win the gold?
Whoa, I was just about to bring that up. Yes, David. Take it you did not catch the game.
I must have just missed it.
Canada, it was honestly quite the nail biter because Canada got off to a great start. I honestly missed the beginning of the game, but they got off to an amazing start. And I don't know what the score ever was, if it was 5-2 or something. Anyway, then Russia starts coming back. And honestly, like it was a nail biter to the end. They pulled their goalie and we're icing the puck because we were hemmed into our end. I say us because I was obviously playing. We're hemmed into our end and then we kept on getting icing calls. And I don't even think they were trying to score on the empty net. I think they were just so exhausted and needed to clear the puck out. But anyway, we pulled it out at the end. It was very tense. So Canada won 5-4. And
Against Russia, right?
Against Russia, yeah. It was quite the game. It was a great game.
Cool.
Actually, the commentator at the end of the game goes, "The best gold medal game of all time." Like, I don't know, sir. Like, that's a pretty big claim.
Shot in front, score! Henderson! Remember that
Yeah,
clip?
really, right?
You know?
Yeah, but that wasn't really a gold medal. But anyway.
Oh, but that was the big 72 thing,
Yeah,
right?
Summit Series, yeah.
I just remember that clip because I've heard it like a million times.
Yeah.
Shot front, score! Henderson! I'll get it.
Nice, Dave. Really well done. Really
Sorry,
well done.
sorry for doing that twice, everybody.
No, I love it. Also, we haven't talked about the aquarium because I want to say nothing's happening, but things are happening, but nothing exciting. After the two kind of banging, every once in a while, one of the sea turtles will just zip across the surface and you think, like, look at that guy go. But other than that, it's just very mesmerizing. It's very nice.
I have noticed, though, there is one token red fish.
Yes, I've seen the red fish.
That is swimming around, and I've just seen one.
Yeah.
I believe it's the same one, hanging out.
This little
with
guy
the
hanging
other
out at the
fish.
bottom right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's been hanging around, and you know, he's not with his kind, but he's fitting in, and he's having a good time, and I like seeing that.
There's also a dory fish, but Erin, you would not know what that means.
Where?
Touche.
She's also in the bottom right now. While you look for it, why don't we hear from our lady?
Let's do it.
You're listening to Dave and Charlotte's Great Canadian Podcast.
Dory fish. Nailed it.
Found it?
Got it.
Now, I need to say something that you said in the first part. We have fans of the podcast already, and one of those fans of the podcast, Jan, who actually has to come on the podcast to explain himself for something he did over New Year's.
Oh.
We'll leave that up to be maybe Tori will tell the tale. We'll see. He suggested that we play a game where every day of the podcast we incorporate a word that he or someone else suggests. He's given us 3 words or phrases to go with. Dave, you already got it in.
Nailed it. Hey, can we add a competitive edge to this? Can it be 1-0 Dave?
Yeah, yes, it can be. However, how are we going to figure out who wins? I guess because you incorporated it seamlessly?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was going to say we can exercise our own judgment on what was like a forced, usage of this word and what seemed to be legitimate.
And let's see if people can guess what the word was. If you think you know what the word was, send us an email, greatcanadianpod@gmail.com, and tell us which word you think it was. We use such big words all the time. It could be any word.
I was just thinking, they have so many to choose from, Charlotte.
Yeah. Also from last week, I need to follow up because you got a point there, Dave. And fans of the pod remember that I have a point from last week because of the knowing Taylor Swift writes her own songs.
Right.
And a possible 3 points if Mark Ronson did a song with Amy Winehouse. Can we get a drum roll for whether they did? Yes, Erin. Erin's got it.
Mine was more of a purr, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did. It's called Valerie, and that's 3 points star, so it's 4-1.
Mark Ronson. Well, we're making that part of the word game? All right, Charlotte, we'll play by your rules. Wait, but is Mark Ronson, he must be a band leader then.
God knows. God knows. Oh, turtles are doing it. Or at least flirting.
I've
Yeah,
heard
I saw that little tail bite there. Look at him go. Go get her.
With Mark Ronson, I've actually heard, I think he's, sorry, Char. I believe that he's either DJ or producer. I'm not too sure which, but my understanding, I had read somewhere, probably on BuzzFeed, which I also love along with you, Charlotte, when he was recording that song with Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk, he was so nervous and so anxious that he was actually physically ill twice during the process.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, Dave, you're a music man. Is that something that, like, do you ever have a song that, you're putting all your chips in, it's got to be the big one, and it upsets you and makes you so nervous that you could actually make yourself physically ill over it?
I could see it. I think I'd be lying if I said I was ever like in a make or break scenario like that. But I mean, it's hard to say what was making him so ill. Whether he was worried about whether the song would be received well or not, or if it was just maybe he's a big fan of Bruno Mars and he was just nervous about hanging out with him.
Well, I wouldn't blame him.
Yeah, right. I'd love to hang out with Bruno. It's hard to say. I don't think the physical illness. I will say, I used to be very nervous before playing shows, and that is to say, my acoustic shows that I will play 2-3 times a week now. But before I was doing them regularly, and I would just have maybe 1 or 2 a month, I would dread them, just because I was nervous. I wasn't sure they'd go well, and what sort of fixed that problem was I just started doing a whole bunch of them, and then I kind of got used to it, and I thought if they didn't go well, whatever, we'll get through it. And since then I've done a bunch when I've been sick, and when weird things have been going on, whatever, and now I don't get nervous for shows anymore. So I think in a way I kind of get it. It's hard to say what was making him sick. Maybe it was just that dirty groove.
Maybe he had some bad sushi.
Maybe he had some bad sushi. It's been known to happen.
Happens to the best of us. So,
speaking of funk, I like the idea. Why don't you describe your motivational mixes here, Charlotte, and tell us what name you've picked for it.
So this is, it sounds it's a little bit embarrassing to say out loud, but I also want to be not embarrassed about it. My best mix is called the Tower of Power Mix.
That's a great name.
And apparently Dave tells me today that's a band. There's also a band called Tower of Power.
Yeah.
So the story behind the Tower of Power Mix is, I've, starting, I don't know, maybe in my early 20s, started getting, a little bit of depression. Just a little snip of depression.
Just a little bit.
Well, a little handful. And then in 2007, our brother Richard passed away. Richard, who was 2 years older than Dave, 2 years younger than me. That obviously made things a lot worse for me, and obviously for our whole family. It was a rough time, which I'm glossing over now for the sake of the podcast, so as not to make things awkward for all of us.
Right.
Whenever I tell people about this, I go, I'm going to tell you something heavy. Let's just blow by it. Let's blow by it. And people go, okay, we'll blow by it. So anyway, we'll blow by it.
Let's power through.
Yeah. And so there came a point where I realized I was at an all-time low, and I needed to start picking myself up. And like Dave has, Dave and I are both, I think our whole family's like this. We listen to a lot of music, and it has a big place in our lives. And sort of turned to music. I was obviously listening to music the whole time, and there were certain songs that I would end up listening to over and over, and actually certain songs that I would print off quotes from those songs and put them up on the wall in my bedroom to sort of help me get through the day. And finally at one point, I decided, I don't know what day, or what, evoked this, but finally I thought, I need to be a tower of power. Like, I need to stop beating myself up, and I just need to be this powerful thing, and I need to believe in myself. And so I remember in big marker, Tower of Power inside my planner. I was like at least 25 at this point. Like, this is like I'm 6 years old. But I wrote it inside my planner, and I started a playlist. And on the playlist are all kinds of songs. Some of them that are good when you're down already. You need to be, something that helps you when you're down. Some when you're already up that keep you up, and some in between. And I was talking to Dave about this today, because today as I was walking to school, I put on my Tower of Power mix, which now has 271 songs on it.
Still alive and rocking. That was my next question. Nice.
Yeah, it's still honestly a great playlist. You can't go wrong. And the song "Move Along" by the All American Rejects came on, and
which was that? How's
song,
that go?
I can't even sing it with my voice like this. You're gonna have to look it up.
All right.
The chorus says, "When all you have to keep is strong, move along." And when it was really down, I listened to that over and over again, because I felt like when Richard died, everyone said, not everyone was saying this, but you have to get over it, you have to move on with your life and this kind of thing. And that you can't just focus on that negative thing for the rest of your life. But this song to me meant you don't have to move forward. You can kind of just move along. Like, I pictured it kind of like moving sideways. Like, as long as you just keep moving somehow, it doesn't matter if you're getting better, if you're moving forward or whatever, just move along. and that's good enough. And I listened to, that's what I took from the song. And it really meant a lot to me, and it got a whole lot of airplay for me, and really, really got me through a tough time. And that was a big part of the TOP mix. And as soon as that song was over on my walk to school today, one of my, I would call this for sure top 5 best TOP songs, I call it the TOP mix, is I Love Myself Today by Biff Naked. Tell me you know this song, David. So this song, if you don't know it, yes. And when the song comes in, it's just a huge crash. It just starts with "bow" and off it goes. And let me tell you, the strut I got on when I was walking to school today was unbelievable. That song, I think everyone needs to put that song on a playlist that you listen to. And I mean, she talks about I'm looking in the mirror and I like what I see. And she says, I love myself today, not like yesterday. This is a song I think I'm going to be listening to when I'm 80 still. And hey, Canadian, Biff Naked.
I was going to say, our Canadian listeners will be very familiar with this song.
Yeah. So from this talk, I was saying to Dave, I think we should come up with a TOP song of the day. Because when I'm dealing with depression, I've sort of made my peace with it that this is something that I'm going to deal with. I think some people have, diabetes. Some people, whatever, we all have our things. I think depression is my thing that I have that I'm just going to deal with for the rest of my life. And I think I've got a good rein on it. And I think that people are too quiet about it. And my experience when I started telling people, a lot of people said to me, Charlotte, you're the last person in the world I ever would have thought was depressed. And they would say, I've actually been struggling with a little bit too. And I think the point is you think that something's wrong with you, that you're the only one that feels like this, and that everyone else around you has it together, and that you're a failure because you can't be happy all the time and you can't like yourself all the time. And I think that I want to tell people and I want to talk about it because, first of all, then other people tell you about their stories, and so many people struggle with depression too. So many people. And I mean, it feels good to talk about it, and to think that some people have come to me and said later on, this thing that you told me about being depressed, or, knowing that you deal with it too has helped me. And I think if you can help someone else deal with it, then that also makes your struggle a little bit more worthwhile. It's not just something that hurts you. It's something that can help other people too. So I think that let's share our TOP songs. And you guys too, if you've got songs, you might not have a TOP playlist, but send us an email at greatcanadianpod and tell us what songs help you through when you're feeling a little bit down, or that keep you up when you're up.
I like it. That's a great start to our TOP tune segment, Charlotte.
Right?
Yeah. What's the one this week?
Oh God, now you're going to put me on the spot.
Why don't we go with I Love Myself Today by Biff Naked?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's start it off with probably the best TOP song of all time.
That's right. And we'll get new best ones as we go down, and we'll just have what you got, like a 200 something song playlist. That's just
271.
That's just all rise and no fall.
And you know what? If you're listening to this podcast right now and you're feeling a little bit down, go press pause, go on YouTube, look up "I Love Myself Today" by Biff Naked, crank it, and come back, and you tell me that you don't feel 1,000% better, because you will.
You're doing it right now, aren't you?
No, now they're back, Dave. Now they've pressed play again.
All right, well let's take a listen to our girl here one more time, and then we'll get to our guest for today.
You're listening to Dave and Charlotte's Great Canadian Podcast.
And here we are.
You know what I just realized? Last week when we said we were going to have a guest on the podcast, and we said we were going to talk about cat herpes, I feel like now is a good time to say that Erin was not the guest that we were going to talk about cat herpes with. It took some planning and some finagling, I would say, to figure out how to do this podcast across Canada. And we haven't yet devised a method to have people call in. So to have a third person call in that's not sitting right next to me or right next to Dave.
Right.
So we have to wait until that happens, and then we can get the cat herpes person on.
But we're moving up. We've got
calling this person the cat herpes person.
We've got imaging. We're getting new sound effects every week. I mean, it stands to reason that, you know, within a year we're gonna have the phone capabilities here.
And the whole time, everyone's going to be like, tell me about the cat herpes. Tell me about the cat herpes. It'll keep them coming back.
I'll be listening every week in hopes of learning more about cat herpes.
Waiting for that cat herpes guess.
Absolutely. Yeah. It sounds like an important topic.
So, Erin,
welcome
to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be your first guest. I feel like it's a very important role.
It is.
I take it very seriously.
And we totally ruined the grand introduction by just having you sit in the room, and we had to bring you in for Finding Nemo. It was a bit anticlimactic, I think, your entry.
That's okay. I enjoyed being able to, you know, listen and absorb and I feel like I'm part of the team right now. I feel pretty good about it.
You are part of the team. So, Dave, you want to hear the story about how Erin met Charlotte?
I do. I really do.
Well, it all starts with our friend Kara.
Yes.
Who, God, I hope is listening.
She better be.
She better be. We'll make her listen to this one for sure. Kara was a friend of both of ours, and she knew that Erin had moved out here in March?
April.
Oh, April.
Yes,
April of this year.
Yes, correct.
And when she found out I was moving to Edmonton, she sent me, I think, a Facebook message and said, dude, you just moved out to Edmonton. You need to get in touch with my friend, Erin. I don't think she knows many people out there. She just moved out there with her boyfriend.
Correct.
You should get in touch. You guys would hit it off.
Right, just the cold meeting. I remember hearing this story now,
yes.
actually. Not to spoil it. I think there's elements of it that I haven't heard. But yeah, I remember being very impressed by that.
Yeah, and I don't think you spoil it because obviously we became friends.
Right.
She's sitting next to me right now.
Yep.
So,
it was quite the meeting because, I mean, it really was a blind friend date. It was like full out, I'll be the girl in the gray tank top and the jean shorts, which, funny enough, we were both in gray tank tops and jean shorts, I believe, that day, which I think was a sign of our kindred spiritness to come.
Yes.
Was this also on the one day in Edmonton that one would be able to wear a gray tank top and jean shorts outside?
It was a warm summer. It was a beautiful summer.
We had a beautiful summer, actually. But it was a true blind friend date. Went for a meal together.
Yeah.
Hit it off.
Had drinks to ease the tension.
Yes. I can say, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, Charlotte, the moment that I knew that we were going to get along great was when you expressed your love of BuzzFeed to me.
Nice.
Because I, too, love BuzzFeed. When I went home that evening and spoke to my boyfriend about it, the first thing I said was, she loves BuzzFeed. And I think Jeff just shook his head and said, oh, God, help us. And we haven't looked back.
No. We both love Celine Dion.
Severe love. Like, obsessive love.
Yes.
I love that she got a shout out. I think it was last week.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Your boyfriend seems like a very sort of prescient guy. To be able to see that BuzzFeed was really just the tip of the iceberg.
Yes. Yeah. Precisely.
Her boyfriend reads the Wheel of Time books, Dave.
Get out of here. Oh, he does too. Yeah, you told me that.
Because the one time I slept over at Erin's house after one of our wine dates, and the next morning she gave me a bottle of wine that had been, or beers or something that had been left over, and I opened up my suitcase, like my little carry suitcase thing, to put it in, and she looks and she goes, did you bring a book to my house? I was like, well, I'm at the end. I was on like the 14th book, maybe it couldn't have been the 14th because I wouldn't have gone over, but probably the 12th, and I was like, yeah, I'm at this great part in the series, and then Jeff looks over and he's like, wait a minute, is that the Wheel of Time series? I'm like, tell me you read the Wheel of Time books.
Yeah, he was pretty excited. He calls Charlotte Chucky. He doesn't call her Charlotte. I feel like he might not even really know that your name is Charlotte because he always calls you Chucky.
I love that.
Why Chucky?
I do too. Chucky.
Why Chucky?
Oh, why Chucky? I don't really know. He just started, the first couple of times that he said it, I had to ask him, who are you talking about? And then he just stared at me and I said, oh, Charlotte, right.
You know what?
But he was pretty...
Sorry, go ahead.
Pardon me? He was pretty excited and I think by then he had already realized what a great girl Charlotte was, but that sealed the deal.
I think some nicknames are just kind of meant to be like that. There's a guy in the band that I play in, and his name is Hubert.
Oh.
Which is an unusual name. Great name.
Great name.
Oh, we got some turtles dancing here. Look at these guys.
Now I feel like that's on loop. Like, I feel like we've seen that, or maybe these turtles just do that over and over again. This is their courtship.
I feel like we haven't seen that yet before, because I thought he chased her last time.
That's what they were doing at the Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. That's true. So maybe they just do this over and over again. Maybe it's two different turtles.
Maybe they're in
Maybe
love
that
and they
turtle's
mate
cheating
for
on
life.
his wife turtle. Oh yeah, sorry. Yours is much more romantic than mine.
So Hubert, for whatever reason, I really cannot tell you why, but I began to call him Hube Elvis. This was after we got tired of all the Hubie Lewis in the news jokes, which we still, let's be honest, haven't gotten tired of. But for some reason, Hube Elvis just felt right, and then I just started calling him Elvis. And I'm the first guy for names. I'm very, very, I try to be aware of calling people exactly what they want to be called, and that's because I was in French immersion from grades 1 to 8, and my teacher called me David. Mm-hmm. My name is not David. My name is David. And I've since cooled down a little bit. I know that with accents you pronounce things differently, even if they're names, whatever. That's cool. But grade 1 through grade 8 Dave, not so pleased about it. Oh, David,
that
come
would
on,
not
ça
have
va?
rolled off the tongue very nicely, like, ooh, oui, David.
Right,
That's
but
terrible
here's-
French, especially since I can speak French, but she has to call you David.
If I may pick on the French language somewhat, they have plenty of words that they don't have words for, that they'll just snipe from the English language. Oh, oui, nous allons avoir le fun. I know that's not a sentence. I'm sorry, French
But they
speakers.
still
That was brutal.
speak it with a French accent.
No, they don't. Le fun is not with a French accent. Fun is
How would
English.
you pronounce that? Le fun.
Le fun. I don't know. Yeah, you could put a little feu, le fun. Anyway, so basically, I was like, dude, seriously, do you mind if I call you Elvis? Because it feels right, but I want to be sure you're absolutely cool with it. And I got to tell you, I still don't know if he's just being nice to me when he says yes. So I try and hold off on the Elvis when I can. But it's just, I don't know why. He doesn't look anything like Elvis. Now when I call him Elvis, he just goes, oh. And it's okay.
There was just a turtle in the center of the screen with all 4 legs, I don't know, fins, pointing out, and he was just starfished, like, kind of up at the surface of the water, just floating.
I thought he might have kicked the bucket.
Yeah, it
but
looked like he was
moved.
dead. Yeah, he's moving
he's
now.
okay.
But I feel like that's what I would do if I was a sea turtle. I would just starfish and just float all day, waiting for my man sea turtle to come along.
Good Lord, Charlotte. Like, who are you? What has Edmonton turned you into? You're on Tinder already, aren't you? Waiting for my man turtle to come along.
All right, so Erin, tell us. We've heard all about my experience moving to Alberta.
Yes.
What was your experience moving from Ontario to Alberta? What do you
Erin,
think?
you're from Ontario?
I am. I am also a fellow Ontarian, misplaced in this province that is very beautiful.
Yeah.
I do love it here. However, when I first arrived, so I drove across the country to get here, as I believe you did as well, Charlotte.
I did.
Because you had a car to bring, and so did I. So I had my car with my Ontario license plates on it, which does your car still have an Ontario license plate on it?
Yes. And if any police officers ask, I've been here less than 6 months.
Correct, and you're going to get it done this week.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
certain
oh
of it.
yeah, almost.
However, I don't know if you found this, but when I still had my Ontario plates, people on the roads
Oh yeah.
were not very nice to me. Yeah, precisely.
Really?
Absolutely. And the road systems here, I must say, are quite inferior to Ontario. I'm going to say it. Mm-hmm. The on-ramps and the off-ramps, the lack of signage.
The signage in this city, I don't know if
Atrocious.
it's like this all throughout. It is honestly unbelievable.
Yeah, it's terrible. So as somebody new to the city,
Yeah.
you might signal at the last minute and need to get over, and the number of horns
Oh
that
my
were
God.
honked at me, the people who would speed up to make sure you don't get in,
Yeah.
that happened a lot. The moment I changed my plates to Alberta
Shut
plates,
the front door.
people were so much nicer to me.
No.
Yes. It was awful. And I even had, when I had the Ontario plates, I even had neighbors come over and very kind of snarky like say, "Oh, you've still got Ontario plates."
Wow.
And everybody assumed that I was from Toronto.
Because that's the only city
Because that's kind
in
of the only
Ontario.
city
Yeah.
that they know, and people don't have a great opinion of Torontonians out here.
Yeah.
I think I'm from Northern Ontario. I'm from Sudbury, so I think I won a few points once I said that I'm not actually from Toronto.
Right.
But
And you're from a place in Ontario with somewhat comparable weather to Alberta, I think. Right?
Precisely. So I got along okay once I said that, but you know, it was a bit of a rocky welcoming in that aspect. Whenever I was in my car, I felt I was not welcomed.
Huh.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know whether people in Alberta were just mean drivers who honked all the time and didn't let you in if you were signaling, and yeah, like we're just
It's because of your plates, and the road systems are terrible.
they're honestly awful. Like, yeah. Put a
Charlotte,
sign.
are you actually
more
getting your
than
Alberta
like
plates
10
this
feet
week?
in front of an off ramp or an on ramp.
I see. Well, if
the
anyone
night-
can
an
fight the
Alberta
good fight,
driver's
Charlotte.
license. Oh my god, what a nightmare! I'm gonna try to get away with not doing it. We'll see.
I think though, because you could say that you are here as a student. Everybody calls you a student.
Yeah.
And I believe that there is
there's
some sort of law
Yeah.
/ rule that if you are a student, you don't have to change your driver's license and you don't have to change your plates.
I believe that's correct.
So
also.
I think this is correct. So I think that's your pass.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news, Charlotte.
Yeah, that's what I'm a student. I think we decided that I could pass for 24. So there you go. I'm a 24-year-old.
Perfect.
Well, I
Would
think
I be a 24 master's student?
some people hanging out in a bar until late decided that you could pass for 24.
Yeah. And who has better judgment than people hanging out in a bar?
I couldn't tell you, Charlotte.
So, Erin, speaking of Sudbury, would you
Yes.
like to tell the people what happened in Sudbury
Yes.
over the holidays?
So when I was listening to, I believe it might have been 2 podcasts ago.
The inaugural podcast.
Yes, the kickoff. Our dear Charlotte here was explaining how she can change the weather.
Yeah.
And
How
her
she
hope
claims
was-
she can change the weather. Let's watch our wording here.
I mean, no, I mean, let's let the story speak for itself, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Well, and so I know that she was really, really trying to make it snow in London because it was a green Christmas, or planned to be a green Christmas. But she was not doing her dance because there's no dance for
There's
it.
no dance. There's no dance.
I really
it would be
think that's your
ridiculous if
problem.
there was a dance.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would make it ridiculous.
Clearly, that would make it ridiculous.
that would be too much.
Yeah.
However, I feel like your powers that be were successful up in my hometown of Sudbury because it was green and warm.
Erin,
Not
you're
a-
killing me over here.
Not a snowflake to be found. And then Christmas morning, everyone woke up, and what did they find? Snow. Like, I think a good 3 or 4 inches of snow. Everything was covered. It was the perfect snow that like covers the tree branches, and it hadn't been dirtied by all of the salt and the sand that they put out. And I feel like Sudbury owes Charlotte a pretty big thank you because she brought them a
Why?
snowy Christmas.
Why? Why are you
You're welcome,
doing
Sudbury.
this?
I can only speak the truth, Dave. It's all I can do. It's all I know.
I think by this same logic that the next time some just natural disaster hits continental North America, that we can safely attribute that to Charlotte.
David, don't be jealous. This is just something. This is a gift that I have, and so I missed its mark, but not by that much. I mean, how many kilometers separate London and Sudbury? A few hundred.
Probably at least 500, but that's okay.
I mean, still in Canada. And I, you know what? There are probably people in Sudbury who needed the White Christmas more.
Absolutely. Think of all the snowmobiles
Yep.
that were going unused.
Yeah. So let's. Erin actually texted me after she listened to the podcast and
did.
said, you know, first of all, I love the podcast. Second of all, you made it snow in Sudbury. It just missed. It's okay. You didn't fail. And I was like, that's it. You're coming on the podcast. You have to tell that story.
It's the truth. Hand to God, it's the truth.
Thank you.
So
I'm sitting here
pretty
looking
proud.
very smug right now.
You are.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
deserved.
Thank you for telling the world.
I'm reminded of a famous sort of line uttered by one Obi-Wan Kenobi, where it's the truth from a certain point of view. I feel like we're getting that sort of a scenario here.
From Erin's point of view, Erin's a very from my point of view, sure, don't believe me, but this is fact. I mean, Erin's just telling us what happened.
If we take all the fluff out, the facts are Charlotte wished for snow.
And it came.
Would you
to
agree?
Sudbury.
Would
Against
you agree
all odds.
that the fact is that Darth Vader killed Anakin Skywalker? Now we're here.
We can't get into that. We don't have time for that.
No, we don't.
We need to talk about another follow-up from a former podcast with Erin here. Erin, tell us about your experience as a real Christmas tree snob.
Ah, yes. I felt like I could understand both sides of the coin for this, because you had discussed how people out there who have real trees are commonly snobs about it, and they judge the people with fake trees. And I admitted to Charlotte that up until a couple years ago, I was one of those people.
You were really an
I
Albertan.
I
You were someone with Albertan tree
I was
plates.
the Northern Ontario girl. What we would do is every single year, early December, me and my parents would go out, and we would drive maybe about an hour outside of Sudbury, down an old dirt road, and we would spend hours picking out the perfect tree.
So wait, you wouldn't go to a tree farm?
No, we would go to the middle of the bush.
Whoa.
Yes.
Is that even allowed?
Yes. I have actually heard
Sure.
that every Canadian is allowed to cut down one Christmas tree a year.
Get out of here.
Like
no
that's
way.
in law, or that's
That
like
is-
a saying?
I think that's in law.
Whoa. Let's
wanna-
follow up
Now
on that.
I will say
read that law.
if it is a law, we may have broken that a bit, because we not only would cut down one tree, we would have typically anywhere between 5 to 7 Christmas trees in the house. I had one in my bedroom.
What?
We had one in the basement, in the family room, in the living room, out on our deck. We would decorate all of them.
What?
It was I love Christmas. My family loves Christmas.
No kidding.
It's not enough that the government took the time to craft one ridiculous law. You guys just had to go ahead and break it not once but 5 times. I'm sorry. That just...
It's all for... I was a child. My parents were doing it to make me happy.
It sounds really
Let's
nice.
go with
It's-
that.
That sounds cool. It does. I'm just...
Wait.
seemed funny to me.
Questions. Were there lights on all of these Christmas trees?
Yes.
What? You should ask your parents now and report back on what their electricity bill did.
Well, and this would be back in the day before LED lights.
Right?
So I presume that those were very expensive electricity bills.
My God.
Yes. But,
That's
it was
why the government
wonderful.
allowed it, because they were getting all the money back.
Yeah. They were just raking in the money.
Yeah.
Precisely, yes. They made a lot of money off of us. However, when you have a real tree, you always have to be home. Always. Because if your tree dries out and there's even a spark in your house, poof, everything goes up in flames, your house burns down.
Huh.
So as soon as I moved out on my own, I realized, and I would usually go home for Christmas.
Right.
So in the home in whichever town I was living in, we couldn't have a real tree because I'd be gone for 2 weeks to not water it, and it would die and
Be a
and
fire
shed
hazard
throughout the house.
Yeah.
So I now own an artificial tree, which I struggled with to buy. I felt dirty. I felt bad. But, I set it up this year, and it was pretty wonderful to, it's a one-time cost. Mm-hmm. It's very cost efficient in that sense. Saved me from having to drive 100 kilometers out of the city and cutting a tree down and tying it to my roof if that was the route I was going to go.
Of questionable legality, also.
Questionable legality.
Did you guys
yes.
tie 5 to the roof at one time, or did you make 5 trips?
Yeah. Great point.
We would sometimes take 2 cars,
Holy cow.
but we would tie a lot to, we looked like the Griswolds because the trunk would be open with 2 or 3 jammed in the trunk. There'd be 2 or 3 tied to the roof and just ropes everywhere. My dad could barely see out of the windows, but
this is hilarious.
but it was
how many Christmas how many boxes of Christmas decorations did you own?
so many boxes, but nothing would have been purchased after 1980, I would say. I think that pretty much all of our decorations were either homemade, hand-me-downs. So they were pretty, like, those are the Christmas decorations that I love.
Yeah.
My tree has mostly new decorations because I haven't inherited my decorations from my parents yet. And it's just not the same.
Yeah,
as,
yeah.
You know, you gotta love the popsicle stick wrapped with yarn and those decorations. So a lot of them were homemade.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. But, you know, I used to judge people before when they had artificial trees, and I can't judge them. I do still love and greatly appreciate the real tree. However, I did learn this year, because you spoke about one of the draws being the smell, right? That's one of the biggest things.
Yep.
At a popular craft store, I don't know if we can say the name, so I won't say the name, but a big popular craft store, they actually sell little scented sticks that you put into your artificial tree, and you can choose if you want it to smell like fir or pine or spruce or whatever scent you prefer. And there's a little schedule of, like, you put 2 sticks in the first week and then you add 1 the next week. So you can now get that scent as well.
I think we have to say the name of the craft store because I want to go get this.
It's Michael's.
Michael's.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Genius.
That is genius.
Because that was the biggest thing of not having... I tried to buy candles that smelled like Christmas tree and stuff like that, and it wasn't the same. But those little sticks, they're pretty fabulous.
Listening to your tale, aside from the absolute shock of the family having 5 to 7 Christmas trees, which I'm still not over, which we're going to have to talk more about. Okay, those turtles are dancing again.
Yeah, this is totally a loop.
But they're not, because the one did chase the other one last time. No, they're not chasing.
No, he's not chasing.
You know what? Everyone that's watching, watch this I guess it's too late now. Tell us if you found a loop, because you've got to be able to see the loop somewhere.
Well, you'd have to be looking for a while. I bet it's somewhere in like the 30, 45 minute range. Someone with a lot of time on their hands.
Why would
Clearly,
you have to...
More than us who are sitting around here making podcasts.
It's honestly going to anger me if this is a loop. Oh, well.
What? You think,
okay.
Why would they make it 3 hours instead of just making it loop size?
So my point, I never thought about the ritual of going to cut down the tree, and that would be a nice family memory.
Amazing. You take hot chocolate in a thermos.
Yeah.
Once we got a little bit older, we maybe would possibly have some Baileys. Once we were, out of the car, and my dad, who was driving, didn't ever have any, but it was a really nice... I would bring a friend out every so often, and those friends who had artificial trees, those poor unfortunate souls, got to experience the magic of my dad swearing as he cuts down a tree, and it lands on him, and it's a debacle, but it's a fun memory.
That sounds amazing.
That does sound cool. Yeah. And I'm pretty keen on those scented sticks that you stick in your tree too. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And Dave, we have how many? Well, I'll say it. I'm 30. I've got 30 years of tree credits built up right here. So let's just go cut down some trees. We don't need to put them in our houses, and we'll get that experience. Am I right? I'm just kidding. I would never just cut down a tree. World, don't worry.
No, between you and me, we get 56 trees.
Here's the thing, though, that I'm always aware, because we've planted pine trees and stuff like that on our property. Yes. It takes quite a while for them to go from, like, saplings into, like, something that you could cut down.
It absolutely does. I think that's why people should just decorate the ones in their yard. Like, people who grow a tree in the yard and then cut it down for a Christmas tree.
They don't do that. Is that a real thing?
People do that. People absolutely do that. And I feel like, you work so hard to raise this little tree. And who doesn't love Christmas lights outside?
Yeah.
I love driving around, walking around to look at Christmas lights. That's beautiful. Decorate the tree as it stands in your yard.
Yeah, I feel like you're kind of a dummy if you cut down your front yard tree to put inside over. Like,
I agree.
Give your head a shake if that's you. I was about to say no judgies, but no judgies. Don't cut down your front yard Christmas tree.
Maybe they use it to create sort of like a pattern, and so you have like a small tree at like the far left and like a big one at the far right, and you just kind of run the cycle.
You cycle.
It's like a piece of living art.
That's one way to look at it. It's a very optimistic way to look at it.
Just saw the loop big time.
Did you?
It like literally just faded.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I missed it. Oh man,
I don't know about this. I don't know about this gold mine you speak of, Charlotte. Seems a little bit fishy to me. Fishy.
Oh, boom. Boom. Okay, we have a quick story from Erin, and then I think we need to peace out because these poor people are, their ears are going to fall off if we keep on talking.
Yes. Well, so last week, Charlotte, you were telling us about how you like to go in to PetSmart and look at the kitties with their pleading eyes as they beg you to take them home. I have a very similar, I would call this a problem because I feel the same way as you. You go in with the highest hopes and you leave absolutely devastated. And I do this with dogs. I will say it, I'm a dog person. So my latest addiction, let's call it, is looking at Edmonton's SPCA website.
I've been there, sister.
Yes, and looking at all of the dogs on there. And this was probably a couple of months back. There was one dog that really spoke to me. I showed this dog to Jeff. I even did a little bit of research on this dog.
Can I interject and just say that Erin has a dog already,
Yes,
everyone?
I have a dog.
A very cute dog.
Yes, Scoots is his name.
Scoots.
And I love him.
Scoots?
And actually, Scoots is the reason that we could not bring this dog home. As I did a little bit of research into the dog, I will let you know it was a dog that only had one eye.
Oh.
And his name was Blinky.
Oh my god. Such a cool name for the one-eyed dog.
And I just loved,
that's
I
terrible.
loved Blinky, and I wanted to give him a good home. And he was on the website for a little while, and then he went off, and I got excited thinking he was adopted. And then about a week later, he was back on.
No.
Which tells me that somebody brought him home
Poor
and then brought him
Blinky.
back. And so I wanted to give Blinky a good home.
I can't take this story. Blinky the one-eyed dog. What were they thinking?
I think it's quite clever. I would have kept his name as Blinky. But Blinky couldn't be in a home with other dogs or couldn't be around children under 12.
Because he can't see them coming because he only has one eye and they keep on surprising him.
That absolutely could be it. But if anybody listening knows where Blinky is, knows that he's good and safe, I will say that my boyfriend Jeff scared me a little bit because he jokingly mentioned and then realized how quickly he crushed me, that perhaps Blinky wasn't on the website anymore because his time had run out.
No.
So I'd really like to know that Blinky's okay.
Blinky's okay, yeah.
So if anybody out there in listening land is from the Edmonton area and adopted Blinky or knows somebody, I believe he was a little white dog. I don't really know.
One
know
eye.
What kind.
One-eyed dog named Blinky. I feel like they don't know.
Yeah, answers to Blinky.
Answers to
Blinky.
Blinky,
Please.
yeah.
Yes, please. What is your email address?
greatcanadianpod@gmail.com.
Yes, please email Charlotte and Dave
Please.
and let them know that Blinky is okay.
I like it. I feel like our listenership in Alberta is through the roof, and this is going to happen for us quite soon.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. We'll
But
keep
if you
guys
have an
posted.
Alberta license plate, don't bother emailing us. We
We're
don't
still
want
not
to talk
talking
to
to you.
you.
Yeah. And hey, people in Alberta, stop honking at people with Ontario plates. Like,
Yes,
we're
agreed.
people too. We're just trying to get from
Yeah.
point A to point B. Acknowledge that your signage sucks.
Yes.
You know, and how about this? I don't honk necessarily at Alberta people when I see their license plates in Ontario.
Exactly.
I'm a very nice driver.
You're very hospitable.
I feel like I never actually honk. I'm not a big honker.
Charlotte.
I honk. Not only
I'm not, Dave. I know I'm highly strung, but I do not honk.
honking, I feel, is necessary. My biggest pet peeve is when you're sitting at a light and it changes to green, and
Yeah.
you can tell that person in front of you is just texting away,
Yeah.
and they're not moving. They deserve a big honk.
I still, though, by the time I think about honking, usually they've taken off. Because I just never even, I think it's to the point that if there was ever an emergency situation in which I should honk, I wouldn't honk, and I'd probably die. I'm just a terrible honker. I know it goes against everything people know about me, but I'm not a big honker.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to watch How to Train Your Dragon.
Yep.
You're going to learn how to
I'm
honk.
going to learn. I should make that my resolution to honk at one person. You know what? Alberta, you think you can honk at art? I'm going to honk at you. How do you like that?
Exactly. Well played.
Look out, Alberta.
you.
I'm just going to keep on being me because I'm pretty happy with the way I am.
Good. We like you, Dave, just the way you are.
Because you're amazing. Just the way you are, Dave.
Isn't that Bruno Mars too?
It is.
That's Bruno Mars. Wow, we just bookended the show.
Right. I mean, we're killing it. We're killing it. Erin, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like this was an amazing first guest appearance. I honestly don't know how our next guest is going to top. They can't top it. I don't know what they're going to do.
I had a wonderful time. Dave and Charlotte, thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks for coming on the show, Erin.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll see you guys next week. I don't even know what to tell you. I'd tell you we're going to talk about cat herpes, but we might not. We'll have a new video for you. And don't forget, figure out what the word of the day was. What word did Jan give us, and do we sneakily sneak in to the podcast?
I'll give you a hint.
Email us.
It has to do with Christmas trees. That's a bit of a literal hint.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not a little. It's a pun kind of hint.
It's a pun hint.
Isn't
Sorry.
it?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
I feel like that'll throw people off the trail if they think about literal.
It's a pun. greatcanadianpod@gmail.com.
And
please give us all the ideas for all the puns that you heard in the podcast, because that would be hilarious.
Email us if you've got words of the day that you want us to put into the next podcast. God, if you know where Blinky is, please email us. Save Erin. Erin's dying over here.
But not if you have an
We'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week, guys.
It's the Great Canadian Podcast with Dave and Charlotte.